Alright, listen, we're going down and after the deep with the king and peas, to the west, casting crowns, backs, east, squares, fruit, name on our chest.
Oh my God, thanking Yahweh for another study session, scholars.
To the block, to the deep, with a blessing.
Down, 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 deep, down, 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 deep, down, 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 deep,
Hello, 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 beautiful people, and welcome to the Deep Dive Live. Now, how are you guys doing today?
Awesome.
We are doing well.
Doing well, doing pretty good.
Great.
Fun day.
Great.
Yeah.
It's been a fun day, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
It's been an interesting week.
Actually, it's a fun week.
It's been a
Yes.
fun week. You know,
Yes.
I don't think I have slept really
Yeah.
this week. It's been interesting.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I
Yes.
know, you know, because it just needs to be done.
Yes.
Right? It needs to be done.
Right.
I feel as if we just need to call this one and move on to 2024.
Not 2021, but 2024.
No, yeah, because, you know,
Might as well.
we won't do another political episode, I don't think, you know, unless Yahweh changes his mind. We won't do another one until 2024. But this one was interesting.
Yes.
We're still in the season of counting.
Yes.
But, you know, I will say this. President Donald Trump, and excuse me, please, I am getting myself dressed while we are broadcasting live. I will say this. You know, President Donald Trump,
Yes.
he beat out many things.
Yes.
He beat out scandals.
Yes.
He beat out his own Republican Party,
Yes.
you know, trying to defy his presidency, his laws. He beat out the Senate. He beat out the House of Representatives. He beat out impeachment.
Yes.
This fella beat everything. Anything he threw at him, he
COVID.
beat it. Yeah, he even beat COVID, you know, according to him. He mastered COVID. He said, this is done. You know, he beat out all the lies that the media said that he told. You know, because according to him, he doesn't lie. But he beat out everything. But there's one enemy that nobody can defeat. That enemy is time.
Yep.
And unfortunately, in this election, he is up against time. He's not up against Democrats. He's not up against Republicans. He's not up against China or coronavirus. He's up against time.
Well said, brother. Well
Yeah, and time has a way of doing it. And so that's what we presented to you last week.
Yes, sir.
That is what we present to you this week. So today we're going to be talking about World War III. World War III. And I just want to introduce you guys to the scholars in the room. See, we last week I had to pull up the suit for the political show. This week it's still not done.
Yeah.
So you know I still have to be.
Yes.
You know I've been working. I've been working this week. This is what you call the politicians' look.
Yes.
You got the
Rolling up the
rolled
sleeves.
Yeah, you got the sleeves rolled up. You got the tie loosened.
Yes.
You got the button loose. You know? And so
Look like Obama on the stage campaigning for Biden.
there it is. There it is.
Exactly.
So that's the look that we. I need to see what our friends are saying.
BJ said, I told you guys Trump ain't going nowhere.
Okay, so let's see. So he said, I told you guys Trump ain't going nowhere. Well, thank you very much for that commentary. We really do appreciate you saying that.
And Nicolette said, fake news, BJ. Fake news.
Yes.
It's a battle. I mean, it's definitely a battle. We're seeing unusual things here. It's unbelievable what's going on in the last week and a half, last month and a half, last 6 months. We're fighting all types of, like, you got corona, you got murder hornets, you got political wars, you got ups and downs of this, you got, it's going to be interesting. I think God is really moving this whole entire year in a whole entire new way that we haven't seen before. And I think I'm just, just hopeful that, people will start coming to repentance as a nation, and that Yahweh will make a shift in a lot of people's hearts out here, because we're so divided as a country all
Yes.
around. And I think he's going to blow our natural minds with everything that we've been through this year entirely.
Yes.
So we're just looking for Yahweh's divine will to be done with everything that's going on, even throughout the rest of this year. We're almost like in 2021, and like, how long we have? Like almost
Less than 2 months.
2 months.
Yep, less than 2 months.
And it's been a strange kind of year, but Yahweh has everything under control.
Yes,
He
he does.
does.
Yes, he does.
Yes. It's
And
definitely-
that's what the
Yeah.
important issue is. The important issue is knowing that no matter what takes place,
Yeah.
this is all in Yahweh's hand. Now,
It is.
we're talking about World War III today. You cannot talk about World War III without talking about political war. So we talked about that last week. We didn't get a chance to finish. Joe said
yes.
he had so much content. He's coming back, and this episode is going to be Joe's show.
Oh, yeah,
all
yeah.
about World War III. We here. We're just chiming in. If I
Yeah.
didn't need to run the broadcast from the center here, I'd put Joe in the middle. But since I have to run the broadcast, hold on, wait a
Yeah.
minute. Hey, wait a minute. I'm missing something. What am I
Your
missing?
pin?
Yeah, so you have to. Yeah,
I forgot mine.
you forgot your pin?
Oh, where's your
man.
pin? You
Do I
forgot
have a
it?
pin?
Corey, did you forget your
I
pin?
don't think.
I forgot my
I
pen.
didn't have my pin. I
You
had
forgot
my
your
pin.
pin? Oh my goodness.
It's on the heart.
It's on your heart.
Wow.
I wish I
ready.
could give you mine, but I can't. I have to play the part.
Oh.
I have to play the part.
Sarah and I have our pins.
Yes.
You got the pin?
We just wanted to
Oh, yeah.
just
Oh,
highlight
yes,
that.
accent
That's
to it.
right.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yes.
I'll
Yeah.
tell you what, brother. I'll tell you what. If you can put this on by yourself, you can use the pin today. Since you have the tie, the pocket piece, the pin should go to you.
All right.
Yeah.
There you go. He gets it.
I'll keep my working politicians look without the pin. Everybody knows what the deal is. Everybody knows what time it is.
Well,
Yes.
appreciate
Yes.
that, brother. You're a good
Oh yeah.
man.
Yes. Nicholas says Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to you
Shabbat
guys.
Shalom.
We
Shabbat
are going to be
Shalom.
talking about World War III.
Yeah.
So we thank you very much for being here, being a
Yeah.
part of the broadcast. Before we jump into the broadcast, though, we need to open up in a time of praise and worship.
Yes.
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 That's what
Yes.
it's all about, right? Like I said,
Amen.
the scholars around the table, we love talking about the Bible. We love doing deep dives.
Yes.
But one of the most crucial elements to this whole system is worship.
Yes.
So we thank God for this opportunity to come together. And I believe that this is now a great time for us to enter into worship. So let's
But
do.
before that, Nicolette
Yes.
says, "Where's
Oh,
the
That's
glass?"
it.
I brought mine.
Oh, Corey's got
Yes,
his
I brought
glasses.
mine. Yes. Yes.
Nah, do you have the red glasses?
Yes.
Did you bring the glasses? So now
No,
you
no,
bring the
no.
glasses today. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
They asked me, they said, did you bring the glasses today? I forgot the
I
glasses.
like see. Hey.
You look at Corey, man.
Oh, They may come on and off different times,
Right,
but
yeah,
hey.
but you've got it.
I've got it.
Joe's got the pin. Corey's got the glasses.
Amen. So we ready.
You're ready. So, I have you. I have you.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. Let's open up with a song of worship.
Yes.
Yes.
And then we are going to dive right in, literally.
Yeah, since we're talking
Deep
about
dive.
warfare tonight,
Yes.
we're going to sing one of our favorite warring songs. We
Yes.
are going up.
Oh,
Yes.
beautiful song.
Yes. We're not defeated. We're victorious no matter what's going on,
Yes.
because we are sons and daughters of Yahweh Most High.
Amen.
So we are
Yes.
going up, and we're going up together in the name of Yahweh. Ooh, we are going
We
up.
are going up,
We're going up together.
going up together,
Going up to
conquer. In the name of the Lord, in the name of the Lord,
Oh, we are going up.
we are going up,
We're going up together.
going up together.
We're going up to conquer. In the name of the Lord, in the name of the Lord. Don't talk,
No, no,
don't talk defeat to me.
don't talk defeat to me.
I am a child of God, and I've got the victory, and I've got the victory. Oh, don't talk.
No, no,
No, no. Don't talk defeat to
Don't
us.
talk defeat to us.
We are children of God, and we've got the victory, and we've got the victory. I am a warrior, I am a conqueror, I'm an overcomer. In the name of the Lord, in the name of the Lord, I am a warrior, I am a conqueror, I'm an overcomer. In the name of the Lord, in the name of the Lord, oh, we are going up, we're going up together,
Going up together.
going up to conquer. In the name of the Lord, in the name of the Lord, oh, we are going up,
We are going up.
we're going up together,
Going up together.
going up to conquer. In the name of the Lord, in the name of the Lord, don't talk,
No, no.
don't talk defeat to
Don't talk
us.
defeat to us.
We are children of God, and we've got the victory, and we've got the victory.
No, no.
Don't talk defeat to
Don't talk
us.
defeat to us.
We are children of God, and we've got the victory, and we've got the victory. I am a warrior, I am a conqueror, I'm an overcomer. In the name of the Lord, in the name of the Lord, I am a warrior, I am a conqueror, I'm an overcomer. In the name of the Lord, in the name of the Lord, I am a warrior, Hallelujah!
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Yahweh!
Yeah.
We
I
give
thought
you
you were
glory.
gonna
We praise you. Thank you, Yahweh.
We need to end that again.
Yes, yes.
Hallelujah. Sure.
We give you glory.
Your name be glorified.
Awesome,
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Worthy
Your
is
name
the
glorified.
Lamb.
Yes.
Yes.
Worthy.
Thank you, Yahweh.
We are
Yes.
warriors,
Yes.
warriors, warriors. Hallelujah.
Yes.
We are winners.
Yes, yes,
We are
yes, yes.
victors.
Praise.
In the name of Yahweh.
Oh,
Hallelujah.
Praise. Praise the
Yes.
Thank you, God.
Absolutely.
Amen. Amen.
Power worship. Power
Hallelujah.
worship.
Thank you, Yahweh.
Yes, yes.
Give you all the glory.
Yahweh be praised. Thank you, thank you.
Yes.
Yahweh's
Amen.
presence, we welcome. Just be with us. And we go in deep in this study.
All right, ladies
yes.
and gentlemen,
And children.
children of all ages,
Yes.
deep scholars,
Yes.
virtual scholars, Bible scholars, educational scholars, any kind of scholars, you are welcome. We welcome you to the Deep Dive Live
Yeah.
Amen.
Yes.
broadcast.
Man.
Yes.
Yep.
So, so much to talk about. World
Yes.
War
Absolutely.
III. You
Yes.
see it going on behind us. You've got the
Yeah,
armies
yeah.
marching on one side.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's it.
That's powerful. I
You've
like
got
the
the flag
image
going
there.
on
Yeah.
on the other side.
Man.
It's coming down to this, guys. It's coming down to this. World
Whoa.
War III. So we're grateful that you are actually here on the broadcast with us. We thank those of you that joined us by way of Facebook last week when we talked about the breakdown of the political powers. I didn't anticipate us being here on Friday not knowing who the president of the United States elect
That's right.
would be. I thought by now
We would know.
we would know, right?
That's right.
You know, and usually, trust me, I don't commentate on political affairs. That's not the area that people ask my opinion. I give them my opinion. You know, Yahweh said, "Make this one public." And I said, "Yahweh, You got to be kidding, man. Actually, publicizers from the deep ecclesia about the political powers.
Man.
You know, even though we did it last year through a Facebook post, that's something entirely different. So when we did it, and Monday night came, and you know, if you're not aware of what's happening right now with the vote count, for the last 6 months, the president has told America not to trust the mail-in ballots. Right? He said, don't trust it because it's a flaky system. It's not going to work. They're going to cheat the election. He encouraged Americans to go out and actually physically vote during election day. So what happened was those who were voting for him in the Republican Party, they went out on election day and they voted. The Democrats asked that Americans who were voting, they asked that you would mail in the ballots and not risk, being exposed to coronavirus. So you had the country divided where some went out, they voted on election day. Others, they mailed in their votes. Now, on top of that, the president also asked that they not count the mail-in ballots until election day, which is a smart move because if you know that the Democrats are overwhelmingly going to mail in their ballots, then what's going to happen is before election day, they're going to start broadcasting these results. And all of a sudden, you'll find out that in the state where you are or the county that you're in, the Democrats, their vote count is like 60, 70, 80%. When you get that kind of news psychologically, you already think, okay, this one is over. I'm not going to participate because they've already gone so far ahead with the count. And so they had an idea. The Democratic Party had an idea of how many votes they would get in each state. So on Tuesday during election, the president came out and he was a completely different president. I don't know if you guys saw the interview that he did Tuesday morning. He came out, he was very solemn. I expected him to come out actually saying, this one is in the bag. I've got this one because for the last, year and a half, he's called Joe Biden Sleepy Joe. He said, Joe doesn't have, the legs to stand on. He's not going to make it. Right? That's right. So, this is what he said. Sleepy but he came out Tuesday morning. And he was solemn. He said, I don't know how this is going to end up. I don't know how this is going to go. He's saying this even before the Republicans went out to vote for him. And the Republican Party and the Republican voters, they came out in masses. This is the most votes that have been cast in a U.S. election in history. Oh, yeah. They came out to support the President of the United States. And as I looked at the polls on Tuesday, I said, wow, what's going on here? These Republicans, in most states, they're up 70, 80%. I said, how could this be decided this quickly and, in so many different states? And here comes Joe Biden, 11 o'clock on Tuesday night, and he takes to the podium and he gives a 2-minute speech and he says, Kamala and I are very confident in this election. We're confident in the results. And I said, wow, this guy is super confident. He must be looking at a different poll than everybody else in the country. And sure enough, as they begin to count the mail-in ballots for the Democrats, you saw those gaps start to close. To the point now where in some states, on Tuesday, if you remember the prophecy from last week, Friday, God had showed me 2 states that were solid and then 6 states that were flipping. And so on Wednesday morning, I got up, looked at the news, and I saw that Wisconsin and Michigan had gone blue. On Tuesday night, they were red.
That's right.
Wednesday, got up, they went solid blue, and there were 6 states that were undecided. And for the last 3 days, those 6 states have been undecided. But they've been 4 of them have 2 of them have flipped in Joe Biden's favor. 2, he is hanging on to a lead. The gap is closing. Last time I saw it, and we will probably get some final results. But the 2 states that I saw that were going to be instrumental in this was Georgia and Michigan. That's true. Which is represented by the deep table here, because Corey is family. Corey, they're from Michigan.
Yeah.
We're here in the deep ecclesia. We're here in Georgia.
Yes.
And so that Michigan up in the northeast, you have Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. They make up what's called in politics the wall, and that wall was red for decades. I mean, sorry, blue for decades. In 2016, they said that Donald Trump smashed the blue wall. He took those 3 states, he flipped them from Democrat to Republican, and nobody thought seriously that Joe Biden would be able to flip that entire wall. Maybe you get 1 state, maybe you get 2, but he flipped that entire wall Democrat. And Pennsylvania, they're still counting. So you're not going to get full results. Elections aren't really tallied until 2, 3, 4 weeks down the line. What they give you is a rough estimate of who they believe wins based on the percentage that they win the state.
Right.
But elections aren't finalized until 2, 3, 4 weeks down the road. And then comes the contesting. If you contest a state, then they have to go back, they have to probe, they have to recount. And that could drag out for another few weeks. And then if they have any probes and investigations coming down from the Supreme Court, then that could take months. So, for instance, in 2016, Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton. And by the way, back in 2015, we prophesied that it was going to be Donald Trump winning the election. And everybody looked at that's crazy because they're like, he's not even a politician. He's a reality TV star.
Right.
The only people who vote for him is the Tea Party. Until you got to the Republican convention in 2016, and he won the overwhelming support of the Republican convention.
Yes.
And the way that he won it was that he had the popular vote for the Republicans. And so he said that if the Republicans did not support him, he was going to run independent. He was going to split the party in half, and then they would have no chance of defeating the Democrats. So the Republicans, they unwillingly supported Donald Trump, and that's why there's so much division in the Republican Party now. You even have Republicans who voted Democrat in this election.
Right.
This is a serious time that we're living in. Yeshua said, we know based on 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, that Alpha is about to meet Omega, right? Alpha is gonna meet Omega.
Yes.
Yeshua said when he comes on the scene, he comes to divide things. He comes to divide families. He comes to divide political parties too. Don't think that that's exempt. He comes to divide businesses. So we anticipate a lot of division that's going to be taking place, and then there's going to be reconciliation, which is going to bring in peace.
And safety.
And then when they say peace and safety, then comes to sudden destruction. So what we're in right now is we're in a time of division, and we have to come back to peace.
Yes.
So this election, it's decisive in the fact that it's going to cause division. So we said that Trump was going to win. Everybody said that we were crazy, and then 2016 came, and America was shocked. Even Republicans, they were shocked. Even Donald Trump, he was shocked that he won. But Yahweh said this time is going to be the Democrats. So we can't have any party affiliations when we're speaking for Yahweh.
That's right.
So whatever he says, that's what we say. And so you have people right now. We got some mega prophets right now. They are calling on the angels.
Yes.
To come and come. African angels. I mean, you never called on the African angels when we were dealing with coronavirus. You never called on the African angels to help Africa itself.
That's right. That's right.
But now you're calling on them to help Donald Trump win this election. I would love to see it happen. I would love to see it happen. I would be amazed if
brother,
that
that is where you see those who are in truth, and then those who are just in light but not fully in truth.
Yes.
Because this is where you know who Yahweh is speaking to.
Yes.
This thing that sometimes you cannot bring this thing to the public because unless you're sure. But Yahweh said to bring it out. Now you mentioned this thing here, 2019.
Yeah.
And I say you crazy. I mean,
yes.
But then when you say that, Yahweh say, how dare you come after the fact? Because after the fact is no longer prophecy. Now you play catch up.
You're playing catch up. Yeah,
So
you're playing it safe.
Yeah, you're playing safe. So in other words, like you doubting what Yahweh is doing on your behalf.
Right.
So Yahweh said, no, my servant, let's go. Do this. And brother, that's not only a bold move, but that is a stamp of approval and a confirmation that indeed that you have heard from Yahweh and you true man of God. Hear this. Everything that we presented last week from beginning to the end, not just connecting the dots, but walking through history and with the Holy Spirit unravel and revealing mystery to you, things that politicians have probably never pay attention to, and to bring this thing out there. Writing was on the wall. The only thing for us to really declare was to say that Joe Biden is a winner. He's going to be the winner. But it was there. The two states that you said in the last minute of, I look at, I'm like, this guy, Georgia. It's impossible.
Exactly right.
Matter of fact, I mentioned that the last time Georgia went blue was under Bill Clinton.
Right?
1992. And that's in
92 and 96,
Yes.
because 96 he went against Bob Dole.
Yeah.
That's right.
So and guess what? Arizona also last time when blue was in 96. So when I saw that, the first thing I said, here go the prophecy. I said, truly the brother heard from Yahweh.
Yeah.
No doubt, I know I'm not going to doubt, because whatever you say, I believe it. You know, Yeshua always say that a prophet is not honored in his own town, and that's because people don't receive the prophet. But in this house, we appreciate what we have. If they don't, because they're your family, that's what they say. Your family. You say a prophet is not honored in his own family. So if your family don't honor you, brother, I want to tell you that I honor you. Matter of fact, Yeshua himself, to even mention how deep this is, even among these disciples, he replaced his own disciple.
True, he did.
We had Jude. We had Judah Iscariot. Then we had Judah the Zealot.
Yeah.
Then James.
Yeah.
He had two James.
Right.
He had James, son of Alphaeus. Then he has James, the brother of John.
That's true.
Mary. He had multiple Mary.
Yes.
Mary Magdalene. Mary. So all this to say what? All this to say that those who are with you. So in other words, it's like family is those who understand what you're doing and those who support you. And I hope that your family support you. But those who don't support you, I hope they line up. But we understand indeed that you are not we. I'm going to be personal. Indeed that you are the man of Yahweh. And you heard clearly.
Amen.
You hear clearly from Yahweh. And we honor it. And truly, you are indeed a prophet and apostle of Yahweh.
Yes.
And that is without a shadow of a doubt.
Wow. Yeah.
Brother, we were in the middle of the broadcast, and they say World War III next week. And as I begin to, because last night, I went deep now. So I get another revelation while I'm going to this thing here. And I said, truly, Yahweh, you are amazing. It's a reason why you turn this thing here next week. All this to say that we're saying this here to let everybody know that we don't come up here on our own.
Right.
And this thing that we presented truly that is under the anointing of Alos Parakletos, and we appreciate you, and I appreciate you. So what has been said last week is a stamp of approval of your ministry, is a stamp of approval of what Yahweh is doing for you, is a stamp of approval of what Yahweh has been doing for you. And those who don't recognize truth, I'm sorry. But Jude said that I want to encourage you guys to pray about salvation, or to contend against salvation. But I said we must contend against the faith.
Yes.
So today, as we continue this celebration, I'm going to contend against the evil forces, against truth.
Yes.
Matter of fact, I declare it, that every tongue that rises against truth over your life, let the fire of Alos Parakletos consume them. It is said, it is declared. Because truth is at stake, and we have to contend for truth.
Yes.
We absolutely do.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Praise Yahweh.
Yeah.
Praise him for that.
Truth. Must prepare.
Tuesday I said I went into the closet. I didn't call on the angels of Africa.
We are not biased. We're not politicians. We just hear from Yahweh.
Right, I didn't call on them.
We know lose. We know that it's the same animal, different piece. Doesn't matter to us.
That's right.
I said one sentence to Yahweh. I said, remember, you asked us to prophesy this word. So if this word fails, then this is on you, because this is not me. I don't do that. Nor do I put Yahweh's name on anything that I have not heard directly from him. I don't make it a practice. You can't do that.
That's right.
So I said, if things don't pan out, then this is on you. They on the deep scholars. And so I just appreciate that word. We've got Corey, as I said. Corey's the tank. He's the actor. Fabulous. He's here. Anika is here. Anika is back today.
Yes.
So we thank Yahweh for bringing Anika into the broadcast today. Over on my left, we've got Sarah. Sarah the Songbird. She was here.
Great to be here with you guys.
Last week with us, she did that powerful deep dive into the woman.
Yes.
And my brother Joe, he started last week. He was on fire. We had to push this into this week because we have to talk about World War III. This is something that must be isolated. So we just thank God for you being here. We're not going to waste any time. We're going to jump right in with our 10 things to remember segment. But we're not going to talk about 10 things. We're just going to do a brief recap on what we discussed last week. So Anika, she brought in the historical account of America.
Yes,
She went back
yes.
500 years.
Yes.
Let me tell you what happened with Joe Biden, and this is the absolute truth. When he decided that he was going to run, Al Gore made the mistake of running from vice president to president right after Clinton. You should have taken some time off. He jumped right into it in 2000, and we saw what happened. He ended up in a similar situation with a recount in Florida, lost the election to Bush.
Right.
Biden, he played the game cool. They asked him to run in 2016. He said, nope, he's done. And then he came back in 2018 and he said, I'm going to do it. And he got the blessings of all the Democrats. When he decided that he was going to run, not with just a female, but with a female who is colored, not just a colored woman, but a woman who has roots in India, you know, because Anika took us back to the Bering Strait, how
That's
the
right.
Indians
That's right.
migrated from India. They came here
Yes.
to America, and they brought
Very
all
much.
those traditions right here to America across the Bering Strait. They set up the government, the Iroquois set up the government in the 1500s. And so now we're approaching the 500-year mark. You know, Yahweh, he does this thing with nations. It takes between 400 and 500 years to literally compress them and bring them back to one. So when he decided he was running with somebody who had Indian heritage, and then not only that, but she's also married to an Israelite. Now you have all of these things compressed into one. And Yahweh's like, yes, I can use this moment as a parable. So this moment is a parable because this moment is setting us up for World War III.
Amen.
There are going to be some great things that is going to come from this presidential office. There are going to be some terrible things that are going to come from this presidential office. This is no longer about sustainability, because that's the word of the day. Everything is about sustainability.
That's right.
This is about how Yahweh can bring everybody to their knees, because that's the end result. Every knee shall bow,
Yes.
every tongue shall confess
Yes.
that Yeshua is the Messiah, and that's going to happen.
Absolutely.
We got a few years,
Absolutely.
you know, so we can't. There's no more prolonging this. This must take place right now. We have to jump into this thing full steam ahead. So Anika gave us all of that information. She helped us with the information about, you know, the early settlers of America, the early government of America, and then we also learned that the Constitution from 1776, that Constitution was built according to a statement made by the Senate in 1988. The Constitution was built on the principles of the Iroquois Constitution.
Yes.
So this wasn't some, you know, brand new epiphany that they received. They took those elements. I mean, this is what we do. This is what we do in the Blood Country. We take elements from all the other citizens and we rebrand it, refashion it into our own thing.
That's it.
So Corey gave us an in-depth look at how politics is set up in America.
That's right.
So he explained to us how the powers are divided.
Yes.
He explained to us the difference between the House of Representatives and the Senate.
Yes.
And we walked through all of that, how laws are passed. And so we appreciate all that information. He gave us details on Congress right now. In 2020, we have some seats that are up for grabs. The Democrats thought that they would completely flip the House and they would gain power in the House. Right now, it's a challenge. It may come out to 50-50, and we're going to explain to you exactly why that's the case in a moment. My segment was all about the prophetic timeline. Went back in cycles of 28. Went back to, so I've seen people, they're pulling prophecies now from the early 2000s, from the 1990s, and they're saying, the Republicans have to win because this has been prophesied by this prophet and that prophet. But God's timeline is set.
It's set.
It's set. You can't challenge it. So you go back to 1992, you see the same thing. You have a wealthy Republican challenging a political Democrat, somebody who's been in politics all their life in the Democrat Party. And that is the outcome of 1992. Same thing in 1964. Same thing in 1936. So we are looking at the patterns that God set, because Solomon said there is nothing new under the sun.
Right.
What has happened before, it will happen again. And that's how Solomon continues the cycle. So this is what he explained to us. So if we can learn patterns in our own lives,
Yes.
we can master God's timeline for our life.
Amen.
If we could study the patterns of our ancestors, our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents, and we knew what was challenging them at certain times in their lives, then you could master it. So, you have a family and somebody in your family, they had a heart attack at 40, and then all of a sudden, it probably was your great-grandparents, and then you learn that your grandparents had a heart attack at 40, and then you learn that one of your parents had a heart attack at 40, or your uncles. Then you would anticipate that a heart attack is coming for somebody in your family at 40.
40.
God is allowing you to receive that information so you know how to combat it.
Yes.
That's right.
Not so that you can say, okay, this must happen to me at 40. No, he's giving you that information to change that in your life.
Yeah.
But there are some things on God's master timeline that cannot be changed.
Never.
Yeshua learned that the hard way. Yeshua was sitting at the Last Supper, and Yeshua in his mindset is, I wish that this didn't have to happen, but Judas comes up and Yeshua says, okay, this is on the timeline. Whatever you come to do it quickly.
Yeah.
And that's what I expect to happen. I expect us to be out of the situation in 2020 quickly. I expect for Yeshua to come quickly, and that was the mindset of the early believers. They expected Yeshua to come right away. So we talked about that, the calendar's repetition. And then Sarah came up and she obliterated the woman.
Yes.
Okay, in a great way. She brought emphasis to who the woman is, what her position is from Genesis all the way to Revelation.
Yes.
She even brought in information about what's happening right now in 2020. So there are some prophetic statements that have been made in this last cycle. Started with 2017. 2017, they look forward.
Yes.
Political magazine, they said 2020 is the year of the woman.
You're the woman.
And so we've seen that happen. I don't know if you've seen the news, but in New Mexico, they, for the first time in history, elected all colored women
Yes.
in their political sphere. One of them was a Republican who was backed by Donald Trump. She's a Republican. She ran and she won her seat as well. So this is happening in New Mexico. So America is ready for the change that everybody thought it was ready for in 2016 with Hillary Clinton becoming the president of the United States. Yahweh said, no, that's not on my calendar. That may be on theirs, but no, it's not time for that yet. Yahweh says it's time for it right now.
Yeah.
So you'll notice there's a center picture in there. That center picture, that's Kamala Harris and Chadwick Boseman. So why is that there? When Chadwick Boseman passed away some of this year, his last tweet was about Kamala Harris, saying that he's encouraging everybody to vote in this election.
Yes.
Because what happened was, if you look at the percentages that voted in 2012, the last time Obama was president, and then you look at the percentages that voted in 2016, the Democrats did not show up for the vote for the election in 2016. Partly because they thought it was a joke. They thought there was no way that Donald Trump could win, the presidency of the United States, and partly because they looked at the two candidates and they said there's not really much difference.
Right.
So we just go with what we believe is the lesser of two evils, and that was the political mindset of the United States then, right? And so a lot of people just did not vote. This time around, everybody voted. Everybody voted. Everybody, and that is a wonderful thing to see that. Now that doesn't change my perspective or perception of elections. I still believe that political leaders are selected and not elected. That is my point of view. That's not the view of the ecclesia. That is LeBron's point of view. I believe that, but what Yahweh makes he makes up for that in his prophetic word. He's like, okay, this is the one that they're gonna select. So whatever he says, we go with, because you just can't trust a lot of these systems, and so I give Yahweh praise for that.
Amen.
That led us to my brother. So he came out guns blazing last week. We talked about the blood countries. We talked about the wars, the rumors of wars, all of these things. He went through the American Indian War, right? He went through the American Revolutionary War.
Yes.
He went through the Civil War. Some people believe that the Civil War ended in the 1800s. We are still fighting the Civil War right
Yes.
now. It's just that the war, it's been
That's
converted.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's been converted. It's no longer fought on the battlefield.
No.
It's fought in the businesses
That's right.
and in the
Industries.
church and in the industries. And all of these places, you have this war being fought between nationalities.
Yes.
And you know, there's this thing called the glass ceiling. We all know about the glass ceiling.
Yes.
You know, the glass ceiling is when they set a standard for a certain type of person to be in leadership in certain organizations. Mostly it has to do with color. So they set that standard that's called the glass ceiling. And if you ever make it through the glass ceiling, because it's meant for you to look up at it, but
But never reach
attain
there.
it. Yeah.
That's it. Never reach there.
If you ever attain it, there's two things that happen. First of all, they call you a token member of that elite society.
Right.
So everybody is in the bottom of this cup, right? And we're all looking up to the lid of this cup, trying to get through that glass ceiling. And there are a group of people that are on top of that glass ceiling. You know, if you work in the bank, they're the ones in the bank that make $100 million a year, whereas the average worker only makes 50 to 70,000 in the same organization. If you were to make it to the top of that organization, there's two things that can happen. They call you the token, for one. And if you're black, then they call you the token black. You know, you're that one black face that has made it in that sea of whatever the
Faces.
culture is, a sea of
Yes.
faces, right?
Yeah.
You've made it there. They brought you in to fix a problem. Most times they've brought you in to fix a problem. In the South, we know it. That's the ones that you call the house Negro, they call it. That one that comes in from the plantation.
Yes, the
and you
house
give them
Negro.
just enough power so that they can bring everybody else into submission. In from your neighborhood, brother, the Ivory Coast, there was a fella who made it. He broke through the glass ceiling. From the Ivory Coast, they actually made him the head of, I think it was the Swiss bank.
Oh yes.
Made him the head of the Swiss bank.
Yes.
And he was there for about 2 years, and then they fired him, I think, this year. So once you get to the glass ceiling, they bring you in. This guy cleaned up their financials. He actually caused them to earn a profit again.
Yes.
Within 6 months, he fixed the system, allowed them to earn a profit again. But then there's this thing called a glass cliff. Once you've fixed everything, and everything is running smoothly, once you've come in as that token individual, you know, and you could be Hispanic, you could be Indian, you can be black. In some areas, you could be white. You could be Arab, you could be Muslim.
I'm
Okay?
looking for you.
Yeah. Once you fix that problem, they kick you off the glass ceiling and you go over the glass cliff.
Yes.
Until somebody, and these are real terms, you can Google these terms, until somebody else comes up to fix the problem. So it's like an elevator type system. You select one person, only one person can ride that elevator at a time,
Yeah.
right? They come up to the top, and then they pause the elevator until that person is done, and they push them up the ceiling until they need somebody to fix the problem again, and they go back into that pool of selection and bring that person out. What's happening in the world now is, for the first time in America, you have the Caucasians outnumbered by the minorities. In fact, in the Omega generation, they're at 48 to 52%.
Wow.
So within the next 10 to 15 years, you can have the majority be the minority. And so that glass ceiling is going to be shattered.
Shattered. Yes.
It's going to be shattered. That's what's happening right now.
Yes.
And a lot of the old guard, they cannot get rid of that mindset. You know, because it's not only one culture. It's not only whites. You cannot only pin this on whites. And it's not about black and white at this juncture. Because, like I said, the glass ceiling exists even in religion.
Yes.
You have certain religions or certain denominations that can only go so far in the religious world. But once you cross over, you become a token Baptist or a token Catholic, you know, or a token Methodist or a token Lutheran, until they have no use for you, and then they just push you, you know. And so a lot of people just skate by saying I'm an evangelical, which means these days it's a conglomerate of different denominations
Yes.
that you can represent. But you stick evangelical on the top, on the front end of it, now all of a sudden you're more accepting. so we're talking about world wars.
That's right.
Now, Joe, you got to jump into this because the original war was set in Genesis chapter 3, verse 15.
That's right.
That's right.
The original war was set.
The original
Yes.
war.
Yahweh said it himself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
You know, so a lot of people are like, man, these guys and this country's going to cause this war, and then this country's going to retaliate, and then we're going to have a world war based on this. Yahweh said, no, that's not how world wars work.
That's right.
They asked Yeshua when he was ascending, the disciples, they said to him, is Yahweh going to give the kingdom of Israel back into the hands of the Israelites?
right.
Which means that would have resulted in a war between the Israelites and Rome.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Yeshua's response was, I don't deal with timelines of war. Only the Father knows how this works.
That's right.
So essentially what he was saying is, you guys, you're going to have to push this ecclesia forward, but at the same time, you're going to have to deal with Rome, who's going to persecute you.
Yes.
That's right.
And that's where we are right now as believers. But like I said, you stick a certain name in the front of believer, and all of a sudden you're accepted because you have to accept so many different things. You cannot stand out and be isolated for Yahweh. You have to be accepting of certain things. So you have a lot of people that accept a lot of characters from people. And then they label them, okay, this is a man of God, or this is a person that God is using mightily. And you know, and they go above and beyond the extent of Paul saying you have to pray for your leaders. They get to the point where they actually call these leaders who are operating in sin as righteous.
Right.
Now this is a problem. This is a problem because Yeshua never did it. You know, and so we can't do it as believers. We have to stand out. So that's where the war started, Joe. It started in Genesis 3:15. Yahweh said he's got two women. Yeah, he's got two people before him. He's got the woman, he's got the serpent.
Yes.
And he's saying to them, I have to go back to Sarah's slide because Sarah's slide, it shows it so beautifully. You have the battle of the brides.
Yes.
You know, because Yeshua has his bride and Satan has his bride. And Yahweh is saying to them, listen, y'all are going to copulate and you're going to produce seeds.
That's right.
Each of you. And there's going to be a war between these two seeds.
Yes.
But victory will belong to the one who appreciates Yahweh's instructions and Yahweh's word. And we know who that is. We know who that is. So he said that the woman's seed, Yeshua, he said that the serpent will actually bite the heel of her seed. It's a painful thing to have your heel bit.
Yes.
I stubbed my pinky toe the other day, 2 weeks ago.
Ouch.
And I was walking around and I was like, come on, man, that's my pinky toe. It's the smallest toe.
Ouch.
Yeah.
But it hurts. You know, you have to be very gentle when you're putting on socks. You have to be gentle when you're walking around in shoes.
Heel you have to use.
For the pinky toe. You know, and so imagine the heel being bit by a serpent. I saw, what kind of snake was that again? It wasn't a common brown. It was one of those snakes in South America. Remember the girl was walking? We were watching this thing on Netflix.
Yeah,
The 72 deadliest animals.
Yes.
This snake launched out from the grass and bit her on her ankle.
Wow.
So everybody's looking, and then it went back. One of the deadliest snakes ever. Bit her on the ankle, right? And so she walked for about 2 minutes, and then she collapsed. They had to put her on a respirator. They gave her the anti-venom. They put her on a respirator. Do you know she came out of the hospital? She could barely walk. She nearly experienced brain damage. That poison circulated through her entire system. And you're talking about only being bitten on the ankle.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Yeshua, what Yahweh was saying in that moment is, Yeshua, my son, fertile land. Yes, fertile land.
It's a French.
It's a fertile land. That's what the snake is called.
Yeah.
This thing comes up and it opens up like a python.
Wow.
And it launched at her. She was walking. She was in a hotel. There were Americans visiting South America. They were walking from the food court in the hotel, walking along the outside of the path, on the concrete path, not walking in the bushes, on the concrete path. Walking along, and the bushes are about 2 to 3 feet away.
Wow.
The snake launched from the bush and attacks her. And so right now, her mom had to take care of her.
It was quick. No,
Yes.
it's the snake.
Right. They had no idea. Launched out,
Wow.
and so, So when you talk about being bitten and poison circulating through your system, this is a dangerous thing.
Yeah.
This is a dangerous thing. And this is exactly what happened to Yeshua. on the cross.
He's the Lamb of God.
Yeah, he's the Lamb of God.
The
But
poison won't affect him.
poison does not, and that's why they use the lamb's blood
That's right.
to develop venom.
Amen.
Yes.
Because the lamb, that's the only animal on the
On the
planet,
animal.
only one on
Only
the planet
one.
that could be bitten by a poisonous snake,
Snake.
and the
Yes,
man heals himself.
yes.
That's it.
So this is what we have.
Come on, brother.
Yeah, this is what we have access to.
Yes.
powerful.
This is what we have access to.
Yes.
Man.
Hey, look who's here, man. Chad.
Chad.
Chad
Yeah.
is here. Welcome in, brother. Welcome in.
Yeah.
Yes, welcome in. We've got Ciadra. Hey, Ciadra, welcome in. Ciadra Sutherland. Glad to have you guys. Yeah. So now we're going to be talking about World War III.
Yes.
We're going to set the stage for World War III.
That's it.
But Joe, you've got to walk us back through those wars because you talk. You know,
Yes. Oh, yeah.
you cannot get to World War III without mentioning World War I and World War II.
That's right.
Because guess what? Anika in her presentation,
They set the stage.
they set the stage. In
For World
Anika's
War-
presentation, she talked about land grabs.
Yes.
The biggest land grabs in history to date have been the land grabs by the U.S. The U.S. When they made that Louisiana Purchase in 1803, I believe it was 1803. It was huge. The graphic at the end, the second to the end, it shows you the Louisiana Purchase, that middle portion of the United States of America, that yellow portion. That was owned by the French, right, Joe?
Yes.
And the French,
Louisiana Purchase.
Napoleon, he was fighting
80.
Haiti. And Napoleon said, what?
Napoleon said, wait a minute, man. I can't do nothing with this property anyway. He said, I'm sandwiched between the Spanish and the Americans.
Yeah.
But at the same time, look, I'm going broke fighting these guys here. So let me cash out. And it was amazing. As soon as it passed the price, Congress didn't even refuse it. They just grabbing it. So they jump right at it because he cash out and still go out there and fight it and still can't do that. So he said, you know what, I'm going to invest a little bit here.
Yeah.
Perhaps I might win this war.
Yeah.
And he couldn't win. So, he made the rest for his pocket.
Wow. That's it. All right, brother. We are talking about World War
Yes.
III. So let's talk about, before we jump to that, let's talk about some of these wars that were fought.
Yes. So yes, World War One was actually the most powerful one, and everything is historical. As we talk about World War One, we have walked through the entire historical account, and we know who was.
1 second before you say I have to add this to the broadcast.
Yes.
So Cheryl Williams, hello, Mama. That's my mama. She said Hillary was intent on breaking through the glass ceiling during a planned acceptance speech in 2016.
Well,
It's
she
true.
went over the glass. She went over the glass cliff.
She did.
Yeah,
So it was like that elevator went right up, and they just
Oh, yeah.
they opened those doors and just.
Brother BJ said yes, it was for her. She went over the glass.
She went over-
Brother DJ, you own it. You own it.
It's like a free fall.
It's like-
It's one of those setup.
Yeah.
And that's why I say be careful when you try to ascend to the top.
Yeah.
Because first we push you to the top, put you on the pedestal,
Yeah.
but then when you try to come down there, nobody to catch you. It's like, one of those celebrity out there rapping or the musician.
Yeah,
And all of a sudden
yeah.
they may just free fall and the crowd catches you.
Yeah, there you go.
Be careful.
You're right.
Sometimes you go out there.
Yeah.
It's a lot of corruption up there, you know.
She go out and say, they just push you on the side. And just,
We did that with that, you know.
Man,
Yeah.
that's sad, man.
Poor
That's
soul.
good. I know, poor soul.
Yeah.
oh, that
Lord
is
help.
sad. That is sad.
Lord help. So yes, Joe. So we have to talk about the World Wars.
Yes.
So give us some education on the World Wars, please,
And,
brother.
and before we get to World War One,
Yes, sir.
here we come in on the heels of the Ottoman Empire, and that is so powerful that we mentioned that because they actually occupy, they invade Rome, but they got pulled back and they went back and built the Arab Emirates and built their cities.
Yes.
But they were still occupying. And that same Ottoman Empire, why am I mentioning this Ottoman Empire? Because that was the last great force that they had.
Right.
And that same Ottoman Empire remained there until World War One. And of course, after, at the end of World War One, she allowed herself with Germany and they break it down. And that's when the Ottoman Empire died. And that Ottoman Empire is mostly, you got to understand what that is, because the Ottoman Empire is the Muslim invasion.
Yes.
Right.
And they came on the heels of the Trumpet Six.
Yes.
So that is powerful, and we talk about how they were coming with the cuirass, and of course they're the one that actually invaded the bulletproof
Right.
on their horses.
Yes.
So it is powerful that we mentioned that. So World War One, the Ottoman Empire is no longer there. So we talk about land grab. It becomes it's all about land grab,
Yes.
and then begins land grab, and somehow they end up into this war. But at the end of World War One, the League of Nations is created. But that League of Nations was so strategic. Matter of fact, how I know that it was Yahweh giving this, because I found this article, and matter of fact, I think I wasn't here last week. You read this article for me.
Yes, put it
Because
into the work.
it is powerful. You read all this article till the end. By the time you get to the language, you stop it. It is powerful.
Right.
Because we talk about the League of Nations that was created. Woodrow Wilson was the architect.
Yeah.
So much of it that they even built a palace after him.
Yeah.
A conference palace, and it's all in the article. Read that for us, and then I will continue with World War One, because everything
start right here.
Yeah, begin from there.
At the Paris Peace Conference in 1919, Wilson, Steele, and Smuts all put forward their draft proposals. After lengthy negotiations between the delegates, the Hertzler-Miller draft was finally produced as a basis for the covenants. After more negotiation and compromise, the delegates finally approved of the proposal to create the League of Nations, French Société des Nations,
Say it. Speaking French now.
and German Völkerbund. Okay, yeah, that. On the 25th of January 1919. The final covenant of the Leagues of Nations was drafted by a special commission, and the League was established by Part 1 of the Treaty of Versailles. I think. On the 28th of June 1919, 44 states signed the covenant, including 31 states which had taken part in the war on the side of the Triple Entente or joined in during the conflict. French women's rights advocates invited international feminists to participate in a parallel conference to the Paris Conference in hopes that they could gain permission.
Now, read that again. Pay attention. We talk about French woman. Now you see that.
Feminist.
So we talk about the League of Nations.
Back in 1919.
Back in 1919, because we know exactly what happened to the League of Nations.
Yeah.
Woodrow Wilson is part of that after the Iroquois.
Yes.
And we have been with the Iroquois.
Yes.
The ladies were making a decision, but the men were ruling.
Yes.
Right.
So, and here is the ladies now. Woodrow Wilson is an architect behind the scene. And here it is, woman here, coming out of nowhere. And they start to make noise to be part of this.
Wow.
So pay attention. Continue the reading.
And you said that's 1919?
1919.
French women's rights advocates invited international feminists to participate in a parallel conference to the Paris Conference in hopes that they could gain permission to participate in the official conference. The Inter-Allied Women's Conference asked to be allowed to submit suggestions to the peace negotiations and commissions, and were granted the right to sit on the commissions dealing specifically with women and children. Though they asked for the enfranchisement and full legal protection under the law equal with men, those rights were ignored. Women won the right to serve in all capacities, including as staff or delegates in the League of Nations organization. They also won a declaration that member nations prevent trafficking of women and children and should equally support humane conditions for children, women, and men laborers. At the Zurich Peace Conference held between the 17th to the 19th of May in 1999, the women of the WILPF condemned the terms of the Treaty of Versailles, both its punitive measures as well as its failures to provide for condemnation of violence and exclusion of women from civil and political participation. Upon reading the rules of procedure for the League of Nations, Catherine Marshall, a British suffragist, discovered that the guidelines were completely undemocratic and they were modified based on her suggestion. The League would be made up of a General Assembly representing all member states, an Executive Council with membership limited to major powers, and a permanent Secretariat. Member states were expected to respect and preserve as against external aggression the territorial integrity of other members and to disarm to the lowest point in sorry, that's a very long sentence. Let me start that again. Member states were expected to respect, and this is in bracket now. So member states were expected to respect and preserve, as against external aggression, the territorial integrity of other members, and to disarm, to the lowest point in consistent with domestic safety. All states were required to submit complaints for arbitration or judicial inquiry before going to war. The Executive Council would create a permanent court of international justice to make judgments on the disputes. Despite Wilson's efforts to establish and promote the League, for which he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in October 1919, the United States never joined. Senate Republicans led by Henry Cabot Lodge wanted a league with the reservation that only Congress could take the U.S. into war. Lodge gained a majority of senators. Wilson refused to allow a compromise, and the needed two-thirds majority was lacking. The League held its first council meeting in Paris on the 16th of January, 1920. 6 days after the Versailles Treaty and the Covenant of the League of Nations came into force. On the 1st of November, 1920, the headquarters of the League was moved from London to Geneva, where the first General Assembly was held on the 15th of November, 1920. The Palais Wilson on Geneva's western lakeshore, named after U.S. President Woodrow Wilson in recognition of his efforts towards the establishment of the League, was the League's first permanent home.
Enough. Thank you so much.
That's amazing.
You see that? They actually made the headquarters and call it the Palais of Wilson. So what is powerful about this? It is powerful because Wilson is the architect. It's like his baby.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Congress banned him from that. But the whole world recognized how powerful this man is. They even designed their headquarters Palais, and then they made a house, and they named it after Wilson.
Yeah.
And you know, it's unbelievable because, I mean, it's so strategic and aligned. Because that's in France. What's going on in
That's right.
Internationally. You have the women stepping up.
That's
and
right.
during that same time in 1919, in the United States, they passed the 19th Amendment for women's rights.
Right.
Yes.
So it's all coming together.
It's all lining up. We're talking about the League of Nations and how it began.
Right.
All this is says that there is nothing new under the sun. Watch the patterns.
Right.
So this pattern here. So when I came and comes to wait a minute, these women here were strategic. Yes, because matter of fact, if you pay attention to what she read, matter of fact, I said, look, you guys cannot go through this unless we are involved.
Right.
And eventually they get them involved.
Yes.
Yeah.
How? It's not a coincidence. It is history repeating itself. So we're talking about women be part of their league. So I just wanted to bring that up and see how powerful the League of the Nation was. The League of the Nation was actually designed to be something powerful and durable. But because Congress denied America to enter it, it weakened the league. And with that, of course, we know what happened. That league died in 1939.
Yeah.
On the heels of World War II.
Yes.
Now, this time around, they come out with another League of Nations after World War II. I'm jumping to the conclusion because we know what happened to World War II.
Yeah.
Now, remember also in World War One.
Yes.
They treated Germany like the rude child.
Yes.
In kindergarten, had to get put in time out. They made them pay. Yeah, they made them pay billions of dollars. They made them promise not to start any wars again.
That's it.
And then they took their property.
That's right.
Because Germany was out colonizing.
Yes.
And everybody was trying to stop them. They didn't want Woodrow Wilson to get into the war, and so they reelected him as president because they said he was the president that kept them out of the war. But then when he started sinking the U.S. boats, then they said, okay, now it's time for us to jump into this war.
Yes.
So after, they tapped him on the wrist, they said, no more wars, Germany. And then they took some of their property.
Yes, they
and
did.
they turned them into countries themselves. So the loser of every war, they experience what's called reverse colonization.
That's it.
So colonization is when you go out and you get properties. Reverse colonization is when the League comes and they take the property back from you.
They take it back, and we see what happened in the Spanish War.
Yeah.
Once the Spanish lost to USA automatically not only acquired Cuba, but they get Guam, Puerto Rico. So reverse. So you're right.
Yes. Whose is this? Is this mine?
Yes, Mama
Truly?
made it. Yes.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you,
so,
Mama G.
so with that in mind, we see exactly what is taking place. So at the end of World War II now, they come out now with the United Nations. Now, this time around, they understood the flaws of the League of Nations. The League of Nations was to be patterned, the United Nations to be patterned after the League of Nations because then nothing's changed.
Right.
But except that this time around, it is strengthened. But it's not only strengthened, it's also backed up by the bank because they come out with the Brentwood conference in 1944. And that Brentwood conference was not just a regular conference because they say 700 delegates came into that conference. And as they come into it, they come with the global World Bank and the IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund. The purpose of it is that, look, now that we have come out of this war, we broke. The only country that suffered no loss and not even economic ruin was USA.
Right.
So everybody came out broke. They said, how are we going to rebuild? So they come up out of the system with the World Bank system, and the purpose of it is that now, no matter what happened, we will still have the support of the bank, the bank industry, and of course we know how that plays out. So we have all the Rothschild, which is a money lender, and he believed that lending money to the government is better because the government not only going to pay you the guarantee money, because if you lend it to a regular individual, you're going to have to pull their teeth to get your money back.
Right. Yeah.
But with the government, it's secure, the loan is bigger, and then you get it paid. But how does this work? Is the government have to impose taxes on the people and get their money back? Right. So this United Nations that has been formed at the end of this World War II, of course, is now is strengthening, and she has been playing a major role, and she will play a major role coming up into World War III. Right. So I don't know if you got something to say, or I should just write it because I'm still on United Nations.
United Nations. Now,
Yes.
I think it's time for us to do a poll.
A poll.
Yeah, so I'm going to do a poll right in the middle of the broadcast.
That's it.
So you're talking about different cycles, and this poll is actually some information based on what we talked about last week.
Yes.
So since we're talking about wars, this is a very simple poll for you to answer. So let me know. When you see the poll come up, guys, let me know what you think. So if you're watching on your Facebook on your computer, you should see the poll come up on your computer. If you're watching on your phone, you should see the poll come up on your phone. All right, and it's a simple poll asking you a very simple question.
Nice.
All right.
Yep, that's
And
up.
all right, so answer that question on the poll, guys. And the question is, which U.S. war was fought between the North and the South? So this we talked about it last week. It's so important.
Yes.
We talked about it just now in the opener.
Yes.
Just want to make sure if you guys are paying attention and retaining the information.
Yep.
All right. And as we tally up those results from our introductory poll, Joe, you can go right ahead, brother.
With the United Nations.
Go ahead with the United Nations. Yes, sir.
You put it.
So the United Nations has been formed at the end of World War II to make sure that she is able to settle argument between countries before they actually enter the war again. But not only doing that, the United Nations has become a force. And she's not just a United Nation by coincidence. She's called a United Nation. That means that she embodies the entire global population or global government into that. So what is the agenda of the United Nations leading to this World War III? Everything is leading to that. Because before we even understand that, you and I know that what Revelation tells us that there will be a one world government, period.
Yes.
One world religion.
Yes.
We went through that over and over. So there is nothing new. But how is this going to be achieved? It has to be achieved through one way. Well, of course, you have a various aspect of it coming through. Well, the Illuminati and the Freemason, they are pushing this agenda of the New World Order. That is no doubt about it.
Yes.
But right here, even us, we have something called Project Bluebeam.
Yes.
What's the purpose of it? Well, that is an agenda to project the new world order with a hidden tool that will be used to convince the world of one world government is necessary. How they do it? Well, it's not only that. We talk about the bank that was formed at the end of World War II. Guess who is part of it? A one world banking system is essential and definitely one world religion. So all of this here is imposed. The idea is to propose that to use military technology to produce a sound as loud as it could be heard from all inhabitants in the earth. So,
Wow.
yes, a sound.
Whoa.
A sound. So while they're actually hiding behind it, because we know the devil is strategic, he's never gonna pull you into, it's gonna trick you into this. So while they have this agenda, all of this is being promoting to have this new world government. So while the United Nations is the key catalyst to bring this new world government together, because we have to talk about the beast, we have to bring also the one religion.
Yes.
So you have two entities that have to bring this thing together and then click this war going on. So the United Nations is the key catalyst for bringing the government together. The United Nations also has an agenda, Agenda 21. What is that Agenda 21? Or United Nations year by year 2030, Agenda 2030. This agenda is being running, and probably you and I probably don't have no clue unless you actually are deep into the timeline and what will happen.
Right.
Because most people have no clue. Well,
But you know, we call this room the Issachar room. That's what we call it. If you look on our graphic right at the top there, it says the Issachar room. That's
the
what we call it.
Issachar room.
This room here, this is the Issachar room.
Yes.
And the tribe of Issachar, you know, as in Israel, they understood the times.
That's
and not
right.
the season.
So
Yes.
right here, we are right on the beat of what's going on right now. We just released a prophetic word for 2020 all the way to 2032.
That's it.
So we are slowly watching all of these prophetic words come to pass.
So true.
Yeah, so we're riding this 12-year train. And as those come to pass, we're going to be talking about some more things that are going to happen
Yes.
in 2021, 2022, 2024, and leading up to that. So yeah, you come on this boat ride. We're going to be talking about everything.
That's it.
Yeah, Yahweh said to his apostles, he said, I want you guys to occupy until I return.
That's right.
That's right. Yep.
Most believers believe that means you go, you grab your members together, you sit down in the church, and you look up in the